Results 2022 now coming up on the midterm election and control of Congress that will come down very likely to Election Day. So where do things stand right now? According to CBS News Battleground Tracker, Republicans today remain in a good position to win a slight majority of seats in the House. This represents a slight shift their way from a few weeks ago. But according to CBS News data, there is a slim chance for the balance of power in the House to lean in Democrats' favor. In this scenario, younger voters would have to turn out in much higher numbers than their baseline model. That scenario, again, is unlikely but not impossible. And don't forget, if you want to cast your ballot ahead of the crowds, early voting is still underway in all of Central Florida. But as News 6 investigator Maris Badcock found out, one county says early voting is down, and here's how they plan to catch people up.
If you ask Seminole County's Supervisor of Elections, Chris Anderson, early voter turnout has been, well, dismal.
I'm definitely seeing a lower turnout, and the enthusiasm, voters are happy, but, there's usually more activity at the early voting sites, and it's not there.
Compared to the last midterms in 2018, Seminole County residents are down 1,000 people per day. But Anderson is a man with a plan.
I don't know what's causing the low turnout, but I'm hoping that we can get people excited. We're going to be going on some Facebook Lives here to try and get people engaged.
Between important amendments, a high-profile governor's and Senate race, plus local and county elections, there's a lot of reasons to cast your vote in this year's election.
When it comes to requesting of a vote by mail ballot, that deadline has now closed. If there is an emergency, a voter can come to the Supervisor of Elections office and fill out a form, and we can get a ballot to someone, and that's in an emergency situation.
If you don't qualify for an emergency, that leaves early voting the only option left if you want to avoid the crowds on Election Day. Those early voting sites are also where Anderson gets to do his favorite part of his job, registering new voters.
I go out to the early voting sites and I check people in, and when the first-time voter comes in, it's really cool. I always say, well, congratulations. I said, what would make this even better is if the Supervisor of Elections checked you in himself. And then I'm like, how you doing? I'm Chris Anderson, Supervisor. And they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's a really cool moment to register them to vote.
And for anyone worried about safety at this year's polls, Anderson says he's got that covered too.
Here in Seminole County, I use my previous law enforcement experience as an advantage, I would say, to make sure that voters are safe. We train our clerks on safety awareness.
Anderson also says he meets with the sheriff and police chiefs to coordinate strategies if a situation were ever to occur.
I can tell you as a deputy sheriff in this county that we are always made aware of voting activities.
Reporting in Seminole County, I'm Maris Badcock. Getting results, News 6.
So far in Seminole County, 15% of voters have cast ballots. Altamont Springs has had the lowest early voter turnout so far of any early voting location.